10 years can change everything or nothing at all. For Emma Collins, it had been a decade of struggle, self-doubt, and quiet perseverance. In high school, she had been the girl everyone ignored. The class loser with messy hair, oversized glasses, and a painfully shy smile. Her attempts at making friends had always ended in whispered laughter behind her back. Emma knew she didn't fit in, but she had learned to retreat into the world of books, sketches, and late-night dreams of something bigger. So when the invitation arrived for the 10-year reunion, her heart sank. She held the glossy card in trembling hands, the elegant handwriting mocking her even from a distance. Join us for a night to celebrate success and memories. Something in the tone, something in the knowing smirk of her former classmates, made it clear this wasn't a sincere invitation. They were going to laugh at her. And for a moment, Emma felt the old familiar fear, the weight of every insult, every awkward lunch in the cafeteria, every cruel nickname she had endured. But then something shifted. Emma set the card down, her fingers brushing the edge as if making a silent promise. No, not this time. She had spent the last 10 years building a life on her own terms, earning degrees, starting a small but thriving tech company, and traveling to places most of her classmates could only dream of. She had grown in ways they would never expect, and for the first time, she realized she didn't have to cower before their judgment. Emma spent the next few days quietly planning. She didn't want revenge. In the cruel sense, she wasn't a mean person, but she wanted recognition. She wanted to show them that the girl they dismissed had become someone extraordinary. Helicopter rentals weren't cheap, and showing up in a luxury car wasn't enough. No, she wanted a statement. She wanted their jaws to drop the instant they saw her, and she knew exactly how to do it. On the night of the reunion, the high school gymnasium had been transformed into a sparkling palace of nostalgia. Twinkling fairy lights hung from the ceiling. Balloons floated in clusters, and a band played cover songs from the early 2000s. Groups of familiar faces laughed, hugged, and posed for selfies. The room smelled of perfume, cologne, and the faintly artificial scent of cheap decorations. People who once called her names were now calling themselves successful, dressed in tailored suits and designer dresses. Emma watched from the shadows outside the entrance. She was dressed impeccably, not flashy but elegant, confident, and radiant. Her hair flowed perfectly. Her makeup was subtle yet highlighted her sharp features, and the dress she wore shimmered with understated glamour. She checked her watch as she heard the distant sound of rotor blades. Heads turned in the parking lot as a sleek, black helicopter descended gracefully, kicking up a swirl of leaves and dust. Emma smiled. It was exactly what she wanted, the perfect entrance. As the helicopter touched down near the entrance, she stepped out with poise, the wind catching her dress just slightly as if highlighting her presence. Cameras flashed, not professional cameras, just phones held by classmates, and whispers spread like wildfire. Is that Emma Collins? Some tried to hide their shock, others couldn't contain it. She walked slowly toward the entrance, every step measured, commanding attention. The very same people who had spent years mocking her now stared in awe, unable to reconcile the timid girl they knew with the confident woman before them. Inside, she paused at the threshold, letting the moment linger. Someone laughed nervously, trying to break the tension, but Emma didn't flinch. Her eyes scanned the room, recognizing old faces, her former tormentors, frozen in awkward disbelief. She allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. She didn't need to say a word. Her presence spoke louder than any insult could. Her first encounter was with Jason, the guy who had once shoved her books into a locker. He opened his mouth to make a joke, but the words died on his lips. Emma offered a polite, composed smile, shaking his hand firmly. "Hello, Jason," she said softly. Her voice was calm but carried a quiet authority. For a split second, the power dynamic shifted, and it was unmistakable. As the evening progressed, Emma moved through the crowd with confidence, greeting acquaintances with charm, engaging in witty conversations, and laughing in a way that was genuine and magnetic. Whispers followed her. Stories of her accomplishments began circulating. Her successful tech startup, her work in philanthropic projects, her frequent travels. Each revelation was like a silent dagger to those who had dismissed her a decade ago. They hadn't expected her to rise, to thrive, to shine. And that realization, the one they had ignored for so long, hit them like a thunderclap. By the end of the night, Emma had transformed the reunion. She wasn't just the girl they invited to mock. She was the center of attention, the embodiment of success and self-assurance. And yet, even as she basked in their stunned admiration, she remembered the quiet part of herself, the part that still felt empathy for the awkward, insecure girl she had once been. She didn't revel in humiliation. She reveled in triumph, the triumph of proving that she was, and always had been, stronger than anyone had given her credit for. The night was far from over. There were old rivalries to navigate, conversations to command, and a final reveal that would leave them speechless. Emma knew this was just the beginning. By the end of the evening, the class would remember her not as the loser, but as a force to be reckoned with, a woman who had quietly rewritten her story while they were busy mocking someone else. And as she glanced out at the moonlit sky through the gym windows, she felt a surge of satisfaction. They had underestimated her once. They would never do it again.